another episode of the Lady Trucking CEO podcast. Please take a moment to hit like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are so excited to have a very special guest with us today. She is known in the trucking industry as Mrs Jerri. She is an advocate for women in the trucking industry, and I am so honored and delighted to have her here with us just to talk and to really get to know more about who she is, what she is doing in the industry, and just to be inspired by her. So, Mrs Jerri, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored to be here. I am Mrs Jerri. My name is Jerri Banks, known in the industry as Mrs Jerri. That's just my husband and I have a basketball program, and that's what the kids call me. And so it just kind of flowed over into the trucking industry. But I am the owner and founder of Life on the Road Recruiting. It is a full service truck driver recruitment agency. We connect drivers with companies and companies with drivers. In addition, we have our business model set up where we have a consultation side of our company where we help carriers go out and recruit their own drivers, as well as teach recruiters how to, get into the market of recruiting and SAP. So that's a whole other ball game. I'll talk to you a little bit about that throughout the show.
Absolutely. So recruiting of drivers, I know that we've all been hearing that there's a driver shortage, and that drivers are so hard to find. Is that really true?
No, it's not. Drivers are out there and they want to be found. They want to work for the carriers that are taking care of them and treating them right. There's not a driver shortage. There is a shortage of carriers that have that human connection with their driver.
Oh my gosh, that is so important to have. I think that generally speaking, most people don't think of the truck driver. They don't really think about how all those gifts got under the tree, how they got on the store shelves, or how did the food get there. I think they really don't think that there's a human being behind all of everything that they literally see in their life. Wow. Ooh. So, all right. So let's go back into your backstory a little bit. Let's go back maybe to 16-year-old Miss Jerri. 16-year-old Jerri.
Okay.
What was 16-year-old Jerri like?
So I'm from small town East Texas, okay, and it's a small town on the border of Louisiana and Texas. It's called Jasper, and like that is my peaceful place. So it's like a handful of red lights. Everybody knew each other, and back home, and I still go home regularly, okay, but like 16-year-old Jerri was like doing like a lot of stuff in school. I was active. We had pep rallies. Look, Friday night lights is a real thing in Texas, okay? So like the whole town shuts down. Wow. And so like our pep rallies, I would like, get everybody together and we would, work on our theme, whatever the theme was for the pep rally. So we were hanging out at my house. Like 16-year-old Jerri was like, living life and having fun.
It sounds like 16-year-old Jerri was a people person too.
Definitely, yes.
So some things never change. So bring us up to, how did you figure out that this was what you wanted to do as far as getting into the trucking industry? Has it been something that you've always said, I'm curious about them trucks, or, how did that interest get there?
No, absolutely not. Like it was totally, I came here by way of nursing and aviation.
I did not know
that. Totally.
Wow.
So, after high school, I I went to nursing school, and that was just like the thing in my family. Like everybody was a nurse. My mom, all my aunties, and everybody was a nurse. And so like that was like, you know how, you know, when you see something, that's the kind of the path that you choose to take, and you want to do that. You want to make everybody proud and stuff like that. And so I got all the way through nursing school, girl, and like got to the clinicals, and I was like, this is not for me.
Ooh, whose idea was this anyway?
Right. That's where I was. And but during nursing school, I was working in aviation at United Airlines. And I'll never forget like that. It was just like I loved the people, and I loved working at the airline and like everything about it, and something new and different every single day. And so I spent over 10 years at United, and you know, met my husband. That's where like everything just kind of and I'm still very good friends with everyone there. But after, you know, a handful of layoffs, and you know, aviation is like up and down, it's cyclical. And so after a couple of layoffs, my husband and I were just like, hey, look, we got all these kids, okay, and you know, we can't put all our eggs in one basket. So the last layoff, he went out and did private aviation. And it's a funny story. So I took full advantage of the layoff, and I was like off a couple months with the kids. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my time. I need to get my mind right. But he went and he was doing private aviation for a company, and like managing their aircraft and their planes and all kinds of things like that. It was a small company. They had about 2 or 3 aircraft. And he was in his office one day, and he was like, I have this mouse pad here. And he just showed me the mouse pad. He was like, it's got this company. It's called Universal Weather and Aviation Yellow Team. So I think you need to call them. It's time for you to go back to work. And so like I literally called them the next day. And this was in 2007. I called them the next day, did an interview that same day, did a second interview the same day, and I got on with them. I didn't know nothing about private aviation, but I knew aviation and I knew people. And so my leadership experience, like really, they were really impressed with that. And so I came in entry level, and in like 2 years, I was like running a whole team of like 40 people. And so, yeah, Universal private aviation, we did like everything. Like, so for example, companies that have their own aircraft, governments, heads of state, like they have to get permission to fly over different countries, or they'll get shot down.
Oh, child.
Like, yeah, like really. And so like my team, that's what they did. They helped get the permits and the flight plans and all of those things. But I spent over 10 years at Universal. And very high stress, high everything environment. As you can imagine, you know, we're dealing with like some people with a lot of money, and you know, it's got to be this way. But I retired in 2017. Yeah, like I woke up one day and I told my husband, I said, look, I've had like the stress and it wasn't so much the stress, because I can deal with stress. We as women, we can bear a lot. Okay.
Yes.
But what it was for me is I was missing those kids and everything that they were doing, like Christmases, holidays, birthdays. I was missing stuff like that, traveling and things like that. And so it really took a toll on me that I wasn't like at birthday parties and stuff like that. And so I woke up one day and I said, I'm retiring. Like I'm 40, but I'm retiring.
I'm not doing this no more. I need to see my kids. It's so, and the thing about it with kids is like, when they're young, they seem like they're going to be young forever until they're not there anymore. You're just like, wait a minute, where did my baby go?
Yes, I'm still saying that, girl. I'm like, I still don't believe we have six
Mhm.
altogether. Okay. The oldest is 26. So we have 26, 24, 20, and 19, 16, and 11.
I tip my hat to you, girl,
And
sis.
look, I got to remember the ages because I'm like, I got to think about it. One thing I don't ever remember is ages and shoe sizes. That's my husband. But I did good just now. I'm proud of myself. Look, like
Wow.
we have three out of the house, one's in
Hmm.
college, but it's just like, where did time go?
Go.
Can somebody slow it
Ooh.
down? I can't believe I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I look at my two. I have two. I have two and
Yes.
I be struggling. So that's why I said I have to tip my hat to you because trust me, some things that come in is two girls, 10 and 13.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
But girl, sometimes I find myself questioning my life choices. Why did I do this to
Yes.
myself? But
Yes.
but when you look at them and you're just like, wait a minute, you were literally 3 months the other day. Like, how are you answering? How's all of this coming into play?
Yes.
So
Yes. Absolutely.
it's really something else. Wow, the way how time just passes. So okay, so you woke up one day, you were like, look, I'm not doing this anymore. So now what happens next?
So, like I mentioned earlier, we have a basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
It's an AU basketball program. And so we use basketball to teach compassion and community
Mm,
service and, all of the things, to
yeah,
be
yeah.
a productive member of society.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like right now, my office for recruiting, it's connected to a gym because I have both worlds right here.
That's so
So I don't
cool.
have to go far when it's practice time and things like that.
That's so cool.
And so, like, that was strategic. I like set it up that way, so I wouldn't be going
Yeah.
all over the world. But yeah, so I have a basketball mom organization and it's called Life in the Paint. And that's what I did. Like I really like gave a lot into that organization and I just kind of
Mm,
focused on it's got um AAU youth basketball moms. It's got,
mm-hmm.
all the way up to collegiate level moms and NBA moms.
Mm,
We have a lot of NBA moms in the
that's
group as
cool.
well.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was just like a sisterhood. And so I did that for quite some time. And in that, I met my girlfriend, Camille.
Mm-hmm.
And so Camille and I were, good friends and talked a lot. And one day I asked her, I was like, so what do you do? What do you
Mm-hmm.
do every day? We do this basketball mom stuff. So what do you do? Like for real, for real?
Right.
And she told me about driver recruiting. And I was like, okay, that's different. I like that. And so she introduced it to me and she's like, I don't introduce this to many people, but I love your drive and I love
Mm.
your, determination, like to just excel at whatever you're doing.
Yes.
And so it's been history, she, showed me the ropes and I opened up my company and it's just been rocking and rolling ever since.
That's awesome. That's what's really resonating with me right now about your story is that you have this other thing that is important to you as well as your business. And I kind of find myself in that situation because before I got into trucking, I was a pre-K teacher and I have my master's in early childhood and I love that space and like really mentoring teachers and parents. And so, but I also love this part of it. Like I started this
Yes,
podcast because I realized, like my husband is a truck driver, and I realized how important, and how lucrative this industry is, and that more women could really, this industry can be a life changer for women,
absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
and it could literally change the trajectory of their family's life. So when you were talking about the basketball program that you're a part of, and you're able to do both, because I hear so much, you can't do both. Like you have to pick
Yeah,
one thing that you're going to
yeah,
just focus on. And
yeah,
that's something that I'm honestly just kind of struggling with a
yeah.
little
Oh,
bit.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you have been running your company since 2017 is when you got started?
Yes, 2017.
All
Yeah.
right. So tell us a little bit about driver recruiting because we've already smashed the myth that there's a driver shortage. We know that that's
Yes.
not true.
Yes.
Drivers are looking for companies that are going to value them as human beings. So,
Absolutely.
so tell us a little bit about what's taking the step towards entrepreneurship was like for you, and what were some of the things that you faced to, like as you were getting that going.
So I think one of the big, from an entrepreneurship standpoint, it was just transitioning the corporate mindset
Mhm.
of to the mindset of, this is my company. This is
Mm.
my baby. Like in private aviation at the last company, I thought I would be there forever. And
Mm.
they were grooming me like like I was taking CEO classes and things like that. And so I I think I just took, and like everything that I learned there,
Mhm. Mhm.
everything that I was taught, it's in my business in some form or fashion.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like
nothing
I've
was wasted.
utilized
Mhm.
everything that I've learned.
Wow.
Being the strategic planner, the financials, the budgeting, like everything that I've learned there. Were there challenges? Absolutely, along
Yes.
the way. Um, and there still are. Every day's it's a new fresh start, a new beginning, and that's how I approach it. That's how I
What would you say your biggest challenge has been so far? Where you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do this?
I think in the beginning, biggest challenge was um just like staying in the green. Staying
Mm.
in the green, like, because you're not going to always be profitable,
Mhm.
like especially in the beginning when you're
Yes.
learning and there's a big learning curve. Like my learning curve was about 5 months,
Mm.
without an income. Like it was just really learning. And so like that was probably my biggest challenge, um, staying in the green. And then the other thing was like, as an entrepreneur, no one tells you that you got to work 24/7. That your hours, even though you're 9 to 5, that you were doing corporate,
Mhm.
it was 9 to 5, and you could
Exactly.
leave it a little bit, but in court in from an entrepreneur perspective, it's like, hey, look,
It's nonstop.
I gotta go get it. Yeah,
You gotta get
yeah,
it. Yeah, you gotta
yeah,
hustle. Yeah, or else
exactly,
else the family is not gonna have what it needs to eat and
exactly.
and
There's
and
no security blanket that you have of that paycheck every 2 weeks.
exactly. So
That security blanket's gone.
what kind of mindset did you have to cultivate in order to really help make that transition solid?
Ah, that's an awesome question. I love that. I think it the mindset for me was more along the lines of not being a procrastinator. I think
Mm.
like that was like in corporate, I could procrastinate all day long and then get it done. Okay.
Mhm.
I
One,
can't do
two,
that
three.
anymore. I
Mhm.
can't do that anymore. I have to, put my goals down. I have to, strategize and things like that. And I think I always had this mindset, but I didn't realize it
Mhm.
until it was me. It was just
Mhm.
me, and I was
Mhm.
working for myself. But it was a mindset of gratefulness. Like
Wow.
that was like and it was grateful from so many different levels. Grateful that I can be here with my kids every day. Like if my son needs me to work the concession stand at his basketball game, hey, I'm right here. Here I am. And I had that flexibility to be able to do that. I had
Yeah.
to work a little bit harder on the back end,
Mhm.
but I have that flexibility. And so, like, just being grateful that I
Yeah.
can do
That's
that.
such a great point because we do take things for granted so much sometimes,
Yeah.
and really pausing to just reflect and look around to say, I'm glad I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock every morning to drive 2 hours to go to
Yeah,
work.
yes,
And, you know,
that
in the
was my
cold or
life.
in the snow, it's just, oh my goodness, God is good. He
Yes,
knows how to,
yes,
it's amazing
absolutely.
how life can just change just from a decision that you make. When you woke up that morning and you said, I'm not doing this anymore. That was like literally a life-changing decision. And as women, we have to make these decisions every day. I remember when I had to make that decision, like I cannot go back into my job. I can't, because for my kids' sake and for the family and for the life that I'm trying to live here, time is going.
Mm-hmm.
And we gotta move, you know?
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely,
Ugh.
absolutely.
Okay. So since you've been running your own business, what would you say is like your biggest success? The thing that you're just like, this gives me life. This is why I do this, regardless of, all of the other things that get thrown at you. What gives you life? What would you say your biggest success has been?
So once I opened up, I always knew that I wanted to bring more people into
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
and share this. So the recruiters that I bring into under my fold and train and educate
Oh wow, I
and
didn't even know you did that. So you have like a school, like kind of like a school or training
yeah,
program. That's
yeah, it's like
amazing.
a school. I'm actually working on the accreditation right
Oh
now.
my gosh, that's
Yes.
so exciting.
Yes, and so I have a team of recruiters. They're their own agencies. They're their own, but I've got the clients that they can recruit
Mhm.
for. They don't have to go out and go find their business, book a business and
Mhm.
like that. I've got them already.
Wow.
But like the biggest accomplishment I think is, or thing that I'm most proud of, I think, is that it's that, but it's who, a big portion of who are the recruiters that work alongside me or that I've trained are family. And so my nephew, my niece, my daughter,
Mm.
my son manages my social media. Like
Wow.
I really try to get the family involved. Like it's empire building for me.
Yes, and generational wealth
Yes,
building.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That is a huge accomplishment. That is amazing,
Yes,
because it's like it's just eluded our culture for so long. And I really feel like this time and space is so, it's like it's vibrating from,
yes,
like it's like now is the time to make a move, now is the time to start really putting these things in place, especially for us. And that's really awesome. So can you tell us a little bit more about the program? If someone can outside people, like anyone, join? Like, are
yeah,
you
yeah,
actively? So tell us a
absolutely.
little bit.
So tomorrow I'm having two free informational sessions.
Hmm.
So the first one is December 1st, tomorrow, at 6:30 Central Time. And so I'm going to just I've got at least 30 people signed up to learn more about
Hmm.
um, becoming a truck driver recruiter and determining if it's right for them. So I'm going to
Hmm.
give them like the whole good, the bad, and the ugly, of driver recruiting, and then offer them the opportunity to go through our online training as well as a 4-week intensive training that I do with
Mm.
them as well.
Okay, can you walk us through that training? Like, can you walk us through like what the step by step looks like of
Sure,
becoming a driver
sure.
recruiter?
So it's for becoming a driver recruiter. So
Hmm.
it's the online training.
Hmm.
And then that it starts off with helping you ensure that your business is set up correctly, that you've got
Hmm.
the right insurance. There are no particular certifications that you need to be a
Hmm.
driver recruiter, but there are definitely skill sets and attributes and qualities and things like that that you have to have.
Can
Um,
you get into some of those a little bit for like
sure.
someone who might be listening, might be looking for an opportunity, and they're
Sure,
like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." What?
yeah, yeah. So, a truck driver recruiter, I always tell everyone, look, you can't be It's not for the faint at heart. You got to
Mm-hmm.
have the thick skin because, and you got to be, um, you've got to know how to deal with rejection, okay? Because
Okay.
there is rejection there. There is competition in driver recruiting. You're competing with, hundreds of other recruiters that are also out there calling these drivers and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And so you've got to know how to deal with people. You've got to know how to talk to people. And sales is it's a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end all be all, but it is the foundation of driver recruiting. So we recruit with a sales sales foundation, but
Mm-hmm.
also we combined that human connection, that relationship building,
I love that.
because we want the driver to be able to um, come back to us. If that
Yeah,
job doesn't work, hey,
absolutely.
look, we've got another one.
Mm.
And so those are things that we teach. We have an exclusive climb method created, and it kind of walks you through those steps. It's a
Mm.
framework
Oh,
that walks
okay.
you through those steps to recruiting finding the driver, connecting with them, qualifying them, all the way through the follow up process and until they are in the truck. So,
Wow.
yeah, those are the things. That's why it's a full 4 week intensive. It's in the evenings. I normally do it 2, possibly 3 times a week for those
Hmm.
4 week period.
Wow. So you walk the students through the program, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So
All
we
right.
walk them through everything from setting up their business all the way to, placing and sourcing their first driver with the company, as well as, if they don't want to use our clients, I show them how to go out and get their
Get
own
their
customers.
own. Where do you see yourself? So let's think ahead, like maybe 5 years. Where do you see yourself in your business?
Um, I see, I see different components or business models added to the business.
Okay.
I definitely want to be ultimately a one-stop shop
Mm-hmm.
where you can bring your trucking company and you've got your driver sourcing, or you've got your DIY where we show you how to go and do everything. And so
Mm.
that's what we're moving to from a consultation perspective. But also you've got your dispatch, you've got your factoring. So we want to be the full service
Full
um,
service.
trucking company. Yeah.
Okay, that's just amazing. It's just amazing work that you're doing, and I think that it's so vital and so valuable, especially because I know that there are a lot of women out there who may have decided to leave their job or are looking to do something different. So, is this something that they can do from home, or is this something that they would have to go into an office to in order to run?
No, it's definitely something that they can do at home. I was at home probably the first 2 years
Mm-hmm.
um, of after opening the H. I did it all from home. Um, but I needed to separate home at some point because
Yes, I was.
they would see you and they would be like, "Oh, look at mom. She's right here. She's not doing anything.
I
She's on the
know.
computer." No, I'm working. Look,
Mm.
I'm on the phone. So I
I
had
was
to kind
just
of
gonna.
separate that. But then as the team grew, we
Mhm.
definitely needed,
Needed more space. So going back to that, because that's something I'm dealing with right now. How did you handle that that balancing act when you were working from home of the kids and then work and then time management and having to stop and cook, like, just everything that home is
Mhm.
combined or like in tandem with everything that work is? How did you handle that?
Well, it started with, I kind of let it go off for a while of them like just thinking that
Mm-hmm.
do anything. But then I had to set like boundaries for my space. So I
Mm.
had to create like a separate area where like it wasn't just like accessible to,
Mm.
like because initially like I was in like the living room, I think.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
so, people were just in and out. And I was like, oh no, we got it. But yeah, no, so I had to like create a separate space for me.
mhm,
Um, that was my space. Like my husband has his man cave out in the garage. That's his space.
mhm.
And my space is my little office. And so they knew if I was in there, and I finally like when I do like, because we have a YouTube channel. So I do
Mhm.
recordings and things like that. And so I'll have a sign on my door that says, hey,
Okay.
we're recording in here, recording in progress. And so when they see that, like they know, they
Mm.
know now.
That's great. Yeah, because definitely putting those boundaries in place is so important because really and truly, um, especially with like, so I'm homeschooling too. So that's
Mm,
just something else that could be challenging
yes.
with as far as balancing and just making sure that everything that needs to get done for work is done, but also holding them accountable for what they're responsible to do. And
Right.
then, so it's definitely a balancing act. I would not change it for the world, but
Oh.
it's definitely a character builder because
Mhm.
sometimes things do fall apart. I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes it's just like, look, I don't know.
I hear you. I hear you.
So it's not always going to be, but definitely worth the trip. I'm really grateful, like, as you mentioned, like for the opportunity to be able to work and make a living from home. And I think that as women, especially in the trucking industry that's mostly male dominated, do you find that a lot of the drivers that you're recruiting are mostly male, or is it like a mix of male and female?
It's a mix of both. So I am on the board of the She Trucking Foundation.
Hmm.
And so She Trucking, it's a professional women truck driver women and truck drivers and professionals in trucking
Hmm.
organization of over 30,000 women. And
Wow.
yes, yes. So it's a huge group on Facebook. And we just recently had the 2021 She Trucking Expo. We're working on the next one for next year. And so I encounter so many women there. I do go live in the group, and it's all about encouragement and empowerment and like welcoming in new women into the
Yes.
industry. So I'm on the board there, and I do a lot with Sheree Moore, the
Hmm.
founder over there. And so I'm seeing more and more. Like every day, there's 10 to 15 posts about I just got my CDL or I'm getting ready to go to school, and like it's so
It's
like
exciting.
powerful.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
It
I
is.
get goosebumps every time I see one of those posts because I'm just like, girl, I'm so proud of you. Go ahead.
Yes, it is. It's just amazing because
Yes.
it's such a movement, like you said,
Yes,
and
that's what it is.
it's like it's so needed because like literally this can change your life and your family's life for generations, you know?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
wow, that's amazing. So you guys, so She Trucking is the name of the organization. Is it an
Yes.
organization that other women who are not yet in the trucking industry can join, or how would someone go about
Yes,
joining and
absolutely. So
join?
yeah, there are so many women in there that are just kind of like watching and gonna putting their feet in a little
Yes,
bit
dipping
to
that
see
little
if it's like
toe.
right for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so yeah, it's definitely for women that are thinking about it, haven't pulled the trigger yet, but are still thinking about it. So yeah, it's definitely a great platform. There's a mentorship program. So I've been a mentor for 3 years now in
Mm-hmm.
the group,
Mm-hmm.
and so many ladies have, and it could be anything. They need mentoring for setting up their business, or
Yes.
what business to start. And
Mm-hmm.
there's hundreds of mentors that are mentoring women in the group.
From what you've seen, what would you say has been the biggest hesitation or like the biggest barrier to women coming all the way into something in the trucking industry, even if it's not as a driver, but like just taking that step?
I think um, it's been just not sure,
Mm.
not sure what avenue to take, what fits them, and then that old can I do this? You know,
Gosh, that's
am I
self-doubt.
worthy? And so that has been kind of some of the things that I've seen. And it's just you just need that push, girlfriend. That's
Okay.
that's that's what
Yes,
it
you
is.
can.
You can do it. You
Come
can
on,
do
let's
it. And
go.
look at all of us. We're all
Yes.
doing it. Yes.
Yes. That's one of the reasons why I feel like this platform is so important, because I feel like
Yes.
women out here need to know that there are women in this industry and we are united, and there's room for you, there's room for
Absolutely.
more women. There's like it's not a competition, it's about
Absolutely.
collaboration, it's about
Absolutely.
mentorship, and it's really about moving together towards that future that we all dream of.
Yes.
So this has been
Absolutely.
so amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time to just, for us to just talk about all of this. Is just amazing. I'm so excited
Thank
about
you.
all of the work that you are doing and all of the work that you have done, to really raise awareness, about the opportunities within the trucking industry. So,
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you don't mind me sharing one thing that I
oh,
want to,
absolutely.
we recently added a component to our agency is helping drivers that need a second chance, drivers
Mm,
that are out of the SAP program. We always take to like
yes.
road
Tell us a
shows
little bit
and
more
trade
about
shows and
that.
things like that. Yeah, so the SAP, it's called the Substance Abuse Program. And
Okay.
basically, the FMCSA, and I'm going to be doing a live on YouTube here in just a second, but the FMCSA, January the 6th, 2020, they implemented the clearinghouse. And so
Mhm.
basically what used to happen before that was implemented is that a driver could fail a drug screen at one company or have an alcohol violation at one company, leave that company or get fired, and then go to another company.
Mhm.
And the other company didn't report it or didn't tell it or share
Mhm.
it or
Mhm.
whatever. And so they get a new job and nobody would know. Okay.
Right.
So the FMCSA created the clearinghouse to prevent that. Wonderful, and it was needed.
Mhm.
It's definitely warranted,
Mhm.
so that those things like that doesn't
So,
happen.
right.
Um, and so we started seeing so many drivers getting violations and um, having to go through that process, whether it was a drug test positive or
Mhm.
whether it was a refusal or what they call actual knowledge. And so we kept getting calls and kept getting calls from drivers that needed like a second chance, needed to be hired after that.
So I have a quick question. So the
Mhm.
refusal, what is that?
So a refusal is there's a couple of things that could be
Okay.
considered a refusal. It could be just a flat out no, I'm not going to go take the test.
Okay.
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 And that happens quite a bit. But what happens a lot as well is the driver could go down to the testing facility, sign in to that he's, or she's there to take the test, and then go outside and get on the phone or go outside and smoke a cigarette or something like that and miss their name being called. And that's considered a refusal as well.
Mm. So
Yes.
I have a question about this. So could it also be that for like an owner operator situation, where the name comes up to go get tested, but they're not like in town and they miss like the deadline, or they miss the opportunity to go in for the test? Is that also something that is considered a refusal?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. So if you're told that you need to go in to test, you need to go in to test. And the FMCSA requires that you go immediately. Like you
Mm.
stop everything that you're doing and you go immediately. And, drivers don't know
Yeah,
these
that's
rules and they're facing like the ramifications of getting a violation in the clearinghouse, here's a good description of it. So a driver without a violation, they have hundreds of jobs to choose from. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they got the pick of the litter. They can pick anything that they want across the country and go and work there. Now, a driver with a violation in the clearinghouse, they may have 1 to 10, maybe 15 job options,
Wow.
maybe.
Wow.
So their chances of getting a job are really like cut down because not a lot of carriers want to hire you with a violation in the clearinghouse. And so what we found is that it's a blanket blemish. Like it
Mm.
doesn't matter where you fall, if you were the one that stepped out and was on the phone or whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter if you were that one, you're still blanketed
Wow.
as um as a violation. And so when companies think violation in the clearinghouse, the first thing that they think, no matter what your situation is, the first thing that they think is that you're a drug addict,
Mm.
you're on crack, or
Mm-hmm. You're
whatever
an
it is.
alcoholic or whatever.
Yeah, you're an alcoholic. Like they automatically think that.
Mm-hmm.
So we ran into so many drivers that, just needed that second chance. And so we're teaching carriers how to hire them and how to hire them compliantly.
Mm.
Um, we just had a conference in Houston, November the 13th, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the Everything Driver Conference. And so
Yes.
we had carriers, recruiters, dispatchers all in the room, big room workshop style,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how to hire, how to go out and find your drivers, how to qualify them, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But then we put the SAP component to show them, okay, once you've screened them and vetted them you've properly, they've properly met your requirements.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a SAP driver, you can still hire them. They don't affect your insurance, and they don't affect your CSA score. The only
Mm-hmm.
way they affect your insurance, because the insurance looks at tickets and
Mm-hmm.
accidents and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. They
Mm-hmm.
don't look at whether you have a
Deposit.
violation.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So would these drivers do these drivers also include owner operators, or these are more mostly company drivers?
No,
Because if
these are owner
someone
operators as well.
so
Yeah.
if someone owns their own company
Mhm.
and they are like the sole driver, could they be stopped from driving?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So owner operators are under what they call a drug and alcohol consortium.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is under the consortium. Let me rephrase that. So everyone's under the consortium. A company has a designated employer representative that's over the that's the communicator between the consortium and the company. Okay.
Yes.
As an owner operator, there is no in between.
Mm-hmm.
So your consortium is the one that says, okay, you're picked for a random on this day. You have to, because as the owner, you can't just pick your
Right.
own day to go
Right.
test.
Right.
And so you have to be managed by a consortium, a drug and alcohol consortium. And that's
Mm.
our network partner, Ebony Polk with Polk Medical
Yes, I
Testing.
spoke to Ebony.
Yes, yes. And so we work very closely with her. The owner operators are required to be under that consortium for
Okay.
randoms and everything.
Okay. Wow.
It's a lot,
That's
yeah.
great information though,
That's
because
a whole nother like
I just don't
podcast.
think a lot of people know about that.
No,
Wow. And I
well,
didn't realize that that the drug consortium was something so new. I thought it was
yes.
something that had, was always kind of there.
Yeah, yeah, no, the clearinghouse was just implemented on January 6th of 2020, and that's when the consortiums were required
Mm-hmm,
at that
mm-hmm.
point. But over not up to this day, over 90,000 drivers have had a violation. So that's the other part of your shortage.
Oh my goodness. And you know something? They legalized marijuana. So has that been taken into consideration?
It's legal, but that doesn't matter because the Department of Transportation is federal. The FMCSA is federal, so the legalization was on a state level. But
Okay.
even such, um, you wouldn't be able to partake in, even if
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
legal. It's the same as
Right.
alcohol.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
certain
you
amount of time you can
absolutely,
get in the
especially
truck.
the truck, this 80,000 pound machine, like
We
you
don't
have
want
to,
them.
we
Right,
don't
right. We want
exactly,
them to be all the way
we
sober driving next to
we
my
want you to know
granny.
what's going on.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, so I agree with everything that the government is doing.
Mhm,
It's definitely warranted and needed. However, the FMCSA gives them a second chance.
mhm,
They have their steps and things like that that they have to go through before they can get back in the truck. And
mhm.
so more and more companies need to learn how to compliantly hire them.
Got it. Wow.
And
Okay.
weed is probably, it's over 50% of the failures or refusals, or it's all
Mhm, mhm.
or CBD. CBD is like a big deal.
Okay, okay. Wow. Ooh, that's there's a lot to learn. I'm
It's
so
heavy.
grateful. I'm grateful
Yeah,
that you're out here because companies really need to know this information because it affects the bottom line. It affects everything really.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
wow. Ooh, so I'm gonna give you the last word. Is there anything that you would like to share, like an empowering word to those women out there who might be on the fence or have that fear and they're just, kind of wondering, I don't know, should I make that step? Maybe they woke
Yes.
up this morning and was like, I don't want to be at my job anymore. What would you say to them?
Um, I there's this quote, and I recently created a planner that we got on Amazon.
That's amazing.
And yeah, yeah,
You
I
have to
love
give us the
it.
information. Okay.
I'll give it to you. So it's called My Life on the Road, Setting Intentions All 2022.
Mm,
And when on the very first page, there's a vow to myself. Okay. And the first two lines, the whole vow is like all me, and it's like everything that, it's all about me and everything that I'm like believe in. I just want to pour it into ladies. But the
yes.
first two lines, it says, if it is to be, it is up to me.
Mm,
Okay. And that means that, like, if it's gonna it's gonna happen.
need to write that down.
It's you that's going to make it happen. And so, there's nobody else that can be your light, your guide, your encouragement. It's you. Okay. And so we're all here to help each other and push each other and empower each other. But it's in here. It's in here.
Mm.
You know what you want. You know where you need to be and what you need to be doing.
Thank you so much for that. We couldn't end it any better than that. Thank you so much, Miss
You're
Jerri Banks,
welcome. Thank
for your
you.
time, for your words of wisdom, for all your knowledge that you shared with us. I really, really appreciate it. And can you just tell the people how to get in touch with you, if they want to work with you, if they want to contact you, how can they do that?
Sure. So, my social media, we're
Mhm.
all over social
Yes,
media, okay?
ma'am.
And we're on TikTok, but the girls are all over the TikTok. I'm just like, okay, but I'll get there. I'll get there. But so it's Life on the Road Recruiting. You can Google us. We're Googleable. I'm so
Mhm.
excited about that. I put a lot of work in there and to get to become Googleable. But Life on the Road Recruiting, we are on YouTube at Life on the Road Recruiting, and also on Instagram at LOTR Recruiting, Facebook, and like I said, TikTok at LOTR Recruiting.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks again, Ms. Jerri Banks, for your time. Those of you who may want to contact me, I'm Camille Kitchener Ellis. You can find me on Instagram at Lady Trucking CEO, and the website is www.ladytruckingceopodcast.com. And please like and subscribe to this YouTube video if you found anything helpful. We look forward to seeing you guys next time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.